And we back with another episode of Frankly Football. Took a little week hiatus, between personal reasons, and your boy had a birthday.
Oh, back in the game.
Back in the game,
29
man.
strong.
And refreshed.
Good.
Feeling
Good.
like a refreshed old man.
That's no, man. You still out there lifting weights. You still popping back. So you got a little more time left, man.
Hey,
you still got a little more time to argue with people.
And exactly. I still got energy to bust down these non-believers. And
Good.
we here to talk about like a week in review type thing, because things have obviously happened while we've been gone. Today we're gonna cover multiple topics. We're gonna talk about Dak obviously not getting a deal done. We're about a week and a half removed from that. Also, some things relating to Dak's feelings on coach dismissals. And then the most recent elephant in the room, Jamal Adams not being with the Cowboys. For some reason, people are still talking about him, even though he's a Seattle Seahawk.
Hey, something to talk about.
You know it. But luckily, after this, we ain't got to talk about it no more.
No more.
Exactly.
Ever again. Right.
So let's run down the first thing on the docket, man. Obviously, Dak Prescott was not able to reach an agreement on a long-term contract and is going to end up playing on this franchise tender. How you feel about it?
We had talked about it kind of briefly going back and forth earlier, and we've talked during the week. And like I said, I want to say to everybody, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you throw a comment, wish my boy a happy birthday, man, on his 29th. That's an awesome feat. And but for the situation with the contract, it is what it is. And I want to sit back and say, like I've said before, Stephen Jones is kind of the new Tex Schramm. So now for us, because we're going into, the history of the Cowboys and them being in the league so long, Tex Schramm was kind of like the architect of the Dallas Cowboys and how he handled the salary cap. Historically, Tex would underpay guys. He was very frugal, and he believed in his heart and mind and soul that being a Dallas Cowboy was so much beneficial for you lucratively off the field. He didn't feel like he had to pay you on the field. Now, that made him in a very tumultuous relationship with a lot of his players, most notably Dwayne Thomas. And if you want to look that up, that was the first guy to wear the number 33 in Dallas before Tony Dorsett. And that caused a lot of ruffling of feathers. And so you want to look back now with Steven. Steven has tried to be financially frugal with a lot of people. A lot of his contracts are long-term deals, whereas Rain did not want to go with that. And that was based on what he was seeing with the TV money. And even with the loss of revenue and the mighty loss of revenues that happened because of COVID-19, Rain was still looking to get that 4-year deal so he could get back in the market when that money hit, which makes sense. Everyone else was running 4-year deals. Steven understanding that it is the COVID situation, that everyone should have looked at it from the fact, hey, we want to pay you. Wasn't that they didn't want to pay him because they franchise tag. They did the exclusive franchise tag where it'd be to the point they weren't going to give anybody a chance to bid on him. They wanted him. They just wanted him at his number. If Rain wanted it at his years, everybody should have been a little bit more amicable working in that situation. What do you believe about that, Brandon?
I think that the quarterback position is one of the ones where the front office is unable to flex their muscle a little bit more, because we see teams like Cleveland going through quarterback carousels for years.
Right.
So you kind of got to play that one close to the vest. But I can appreciate the front office not just giving in. I appreciate a little hard bargaining. It's not negotiation if you don't fire back a little bit. But
but everybody that they fired back on, they pretty much paid. You look at it, they paid DeMarcus Lawrence, but DeMarcus had to go through a franchise year and then threaten to hold out with his shoulder surgery to get his money. He did that. Yeah. They paid Zeke early, 2 years early. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at the contract, it doesn't break down to be so excruciating. Even with Amari Cooper, they paid him, but it's really turned out to be like a 2-year deal where they get the guaranteed money out the way.
Yep.
So they've written a lot of smart contracts. But what I saw with what they did with Rain was, we want you, we just want you at this number. I just believe, and this is my theory, okay? I'm not saying I have some far-fetched, I got inside look on it, but I'm looking at it from the money aspect of the NFL, with the money they're going to lose in revenue this year because of the number of people who are not going to the games. Not that they don't want to go to the games, they're just not going to go to the games because of COVID-19.
Here's the thing. Is every stadium going to allow fans, or is every stadium not going to allow fans, or are they deciding on half capacity? What's the ins and outs of that situation?
Well, even if they're to the point they're going to have people sign waivers, if they're going to turn around and have people turn around and cut back on number of people going to show up, you're still going to turn around with 30. The average the average across the board is, like we said, 69,000 is the average stadium.
That's right.
So if you're going to get 6 feet apart, let's say you cut that in half. So let's say 7. Let's say put it at 35,000.
Yeah.
Get 35,000 people there, and people are going to feel comfortable. It's going to be one thing. But are you going to get those 35,000 people to wear masks? I mean, we can't get people in large cities to wear masks, and that's a totally different situation. See, the money across the board is going to be lost, and somebody's got to feel the brunt of that. And here's the problem. The owners don't feel like they should have to take the full brunt of it. The players don't feel like, well, I'm the employee. Why am I taking the brunt of it? Because I'm still giving you my service.
That's right.
So I think, in going back to Rain, in the contract negotiations, even though we wanted to get him paid and get the ball rolling on this, I think franchise tagging him was kind of smart coming into this era with COVID. The problem is it swings leverage back to him, because now we see the numbers averaging out to being 31 million this year, 37 million next year, which is about 69. And if the deal only said 70 million upfront guaranteed, well, he's like, hey, either way I do it, I'm still gonna get my money.
That's right. Because he's now going to be 1 year removed from entering true free agency and having a potential Kirk Cousins situation.
Oh, he definitely gets more. And going back to this and just talking about that, and for him going into that year, before you had 31, 37 dealing with the money, but now it switches because he's going to get 31. That's out the way, bang. Now he goes 37, and then if you want him for that third year, it goes to 54.
That's right.
So which averages out to 45 million.
That's right.
So had you went ahead and paid him 40 million, you really came out cheaper long term.
Absolutely.
It's a bungle on both sides, but you got to understand they're also looking at being cap savvy with the fact that if the salary cap stays flat and goes down, who are you going to end up cutting? You're going to start cutting mid-level guys. Your guys who make $4 or $5 million, you got to cut them because you don't have the money to pay them.
Absolutely.
So franchising him at 31 and then coming back next year, doing him at 37, and if he makes a deep playoff run, you're going to have to hope, above all else, that Rand Dakota Prescott loves being the Dallas Cowboy quarterback.
Absolutely.
Because by the numbers, he can demand $45 million.
Absolutely.
He goes from 30, 31 to 45 sheerly on numbers.
That's right. And you have to give him a reason to want to get that tag get the contract outside of the tag. Because
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that you said what you said. You said you have to hope that he really loves being a Cowboy. That brings us to our next topic. Earlier this week, Brian Broaddus talked about Dak Prescott being one of the guys who was kind of a little pissed off that Jason Garrett was relieved of his duties. That he walked up on Black Monday and his key didn't work. So how do you feel about?
That's not true. That's not true. Jason's key worked for like a week after. They kept letting him in the building. Even if his key didn't work, he was one of them guys like, hey, hold the door for me. He was letting folks letting him in, you know. Yeah, so his cue card might not have worked, but he kept getting in the building. I don't know if he kept going through the back where they was, delivering produce or something, but he kept getting in the building.
Hey, man, it took him a week to pack his boxes, man.
Right.
But let me ask you this. How do you feel about Dak, your quarterback? Because this is the guy who matters the most. How do you feel about your quarterback being mad that you have a new coach?
I think I look at it two-part. I think one, Rain has to look at this as a business.
Yeah.
This is a business. Secondly, Rain got to look at what could I have done to help him keep his job.
Win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Win a Super Bowl.
What do I do in my own performances to help him keep his job? Because if he's mad at anybody else, he's got to look at last year, which was a do or die year.
Yep.
No second half comebacks. What the numbers pan out. All the numbers they use to say why he didn't deserve to get paid. He has to look back and say, what was my fault in those games that kept me from helping my favorite coach keep his job? And if he can look where he can improve, that's fine. But I thought he did as much as he could to help them win. I think, as we talked before, special teams lost him a couple games. Special teams lost him 3 games. I think the defense playing poorly and not getting turnovers and being poor tackles lost them at least 1 or 2 games. So that's 5 games, and you won 8. So 8 and 5, it's 13 games. So let's be assumptive. They won 12 games. They're almost, getting a first round bye. But more importantly, had they won one of those games, they'd have been in the playoffs. And he wouldn't have to worry about his coach getting fired because he would have made the playoffs again. And then anything could have happened inside the tournament that he could have kept his job. So he has to understand it's a business.
Man, look, I'm going to tell you like this, man. It's football, man. People lose their jobs every day, B. That's how it is, man. To all my people that know paid in full. To all my people that know paid in full, man. People lose their jobs every day. Cameron ain't say it like that, but yeah. Right. But yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of like Baker Mayfield being mad at Marvin Lewis. I mean, it just don't make sense, right?
I mean, making sense, making dollars and making sense is 2 different things. But you gotta understand, he was one of the guys that stood on the table for this guy.
Yeah.
Remember, Rain is a professional, but he also is a human. So he got to sit back and look. There were guys who people drafted before me. We know 2 per se the Cowboys wanted even before him, right? They wanted Connor Cook. They wanted Paxton Lynch. He knew that. And here is his guy, standing on the table for him. Throwing after, they playing catch, they're playing 21 throwing, and there's a relationship. And Jason Garrett is a great relationship guy. But what he lacks in coaching and adjustments on the field, he makes up in relationship.
Yep.
And Dak is like, hey, this is a relationship. This is family. And the Cowboys run it like a family. But at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
it's a wins and loss business. So for the majority of Cowboy Nation, losing Jason Garrett, missing the playoffs last year, and going 8-8 reap benefits for the next 2 or 3 seasons. Because if you make the playoffs, if you make the playoffs, guess who's not on this roster this year? Sedarian Lamb.
Absolutely.
If you make the playoffs, guess what? You're walking back the same coaching staff that you had all these different questions about back into the building, right? Then also you don't have this influx of new guys or new blood or new transition with this defense and this offense without the loss last year. So it's both. It goes both ways.
Pros and cons.
This
man.
is gonna be it's gonna be. Go ahead.
Outside of winning the Super Bowl, I wouldn't take things back last year. I wouldn't want to get in the playoffs and lose in the first round. I wouldn't want that because then I wouldn't have CeeDee Lamb. Then I may have to choose between Jalen Reagor and Justin Jefferson, like a certain team in green. So
right, absolutely right, and there lies the rub, because I don't think you would be you would like Justin Jefferson because you're a draft guy.
Yeah,
but then you'd be thinking about, okay, do you get Diggs Do you get everything to fall the way it gets? Because you probably take Diggs in the first round.
Yeah.
Because you would have hated him at 15, but at 21, well, hey, he's a borderline first round pick.
Yeah.
So I think, and I feel that because that was his coach, his college coach, his first professional coach, he didn't want to lose him. Felt like it was his fault. But for the rest of us, man, we would have took Jason Garrett to the bus station, no problem, gave him peanut butter and jelly sandwich and sent him on his way.
I wish friendships won championships.
Hey, man. Hey, I wish he did too, man. The only time friendships work and win championships is me and you, man.
Yeah,
that's
come
it.
on now.
That's the only way it wins, because we all we do is win on here, man. That's all we do.
on earth, baby.
That's it, man. So that's how we get down. So I think he'll get over it. He'll move on. And I think once he gets into the building with McCarthy, with Nussmeier, another year of the young phenom Kellen Moore, I think his feelings will be like, hey, this was the best thing to happen. I was able to broaden myself, expand myself, and get myself to the next level professionally.
Absolutely. And we're going to go more in depth in that as camp draws near, because we are now just about a week removed from full training camp starting.
Right.
So we're definitely going to go into more detail as far as those coaches. We've glossed over it before in a previous video talking about expectations, but now we're going to look at projections. That's going to be our next thing, talking about the coaches. Our last topic that we wanted to go over today, this is probably the most recent thing. We can finally stop talking about Cowboys possibly trading for Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams is now a Seahawk due to Seattle trading multiple first-round picks that they probably wouldn't have used to draft the offensive lineman for Russell Wilson anyway, that they probably would have drafted poorly anyway. But they paid the quarterback price for a box safety. They gave up a 2020 first-round pick, a 2020 third-round pick, 2021 first and third round pick. I'm sorry. Got that number wrong. And then a 2022 first round pick. In return, they got Jamal Adams and a 2022 fourth round pick.
So you're saying, and they also gave up a player. So they basically they gave up one player, 3 potential draft picks, and the knowing that you were going to have to pay this guy. Yeah. You're going to have to pay him. Okay? Yeah. Now, he said for particular teams, hey, I was willing not to have them come out and pay me out the gate. He may do it for Seattle because he's just happy to get out of New York.
Maybe.
But you're still going to have to make him the highest paid safety in football.
That's right.
The highest paid safety in football.
That's right.
That does not cause interceptions, right? Who's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, great box safety. Great box safety.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a phenomenal football player that ends up playing safety, that plays down the box.
Yeah.
We're trying to see, when you say him like box safety, Brandon, you try to make it sound like, he's the GOAT, like Jeff Heath, just a box safety.
Stop it.
Hey, man, there will be no blasphemy or any down talk of the GOAT, Jeff Heath.
This is madness. Look, man, the Seahawks have 2 great linebackers who I feel is going to accomplish the job that they want Jamal Adams to do just as good, if not better.
I have no problem with Bobby Wagner or KJ Choi. I think both of those guys are phenomenal at their positions and what they do. I think the loss of the third level with Earl being gone, and with the great Cam Chancellor leaving because of injury, and walking away from it, you get a phenomenal player at the third level.
Yeah,
I got a problem with, and see, you're looking at 2 different franchises.
Yeah,
when you look at first round picks for Seattle, you're looking at Rashad Penny.
Yep.
They ended up, they waste their first round draft picks.
Yeah.
Whereas in Dallas,
probably because they're always picking anywhere from 26 to 32, but
hey, listen, that's got nothing to do with draft guys like yourself, like a Vosh Lombardi, giving him a shout out, like a Foots the King, giving him a shout out. Guys like that who are draft gurus. You're gonna find a very high you'll find a very high player who will be a great addition to your football team in those first 32 to 50 picks. To consistently get it wrong means it's either one or two things. Either you got a scouting department that doesn't know what the coaches want, or you just got a team that just doesn't pick well. If you don't get those two to marry up, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We can both say, honestly, in the last 5 to 7 years, that's only really happened once in Dallas.
Yeah.
It's only happened once.
Shout out to Taco.
Hey, man, I like tacos.
Yeah.
But when a guy gets released from one team for a bad attitude and he goes somewhere else with a fresh start and he gets released again for a bad attitude, there lies the problem.
Yep. That'll let you know what it is.
That's a you problem. That's you, Taco.
Exactly. But I'll say this. Things like this, trades like that, make me so glad that fans are not GMs. Because in the Twitterverse, by the way, follow us on Twitter at Frankly Football with the second L being a 1.
Right.
In the Twitterverse, you had people who were saying, "Oh, why couldn't the Cowboys have just given over those picks?" You telling me that you would have wanted to give up a CD Lamb or a Leighton Vander Esch, those potential picks for a box safety?
Go ahead and say you're going to give up. You're going to end up giving up CD Lamb, Leighton Vander Esch, a third round, Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
Because it's third.
That's right.
Michael Gallup.
That's
right. Right.
Who was our third round pick this year? Bradley Anad, was he our third rounder?
No. If you were going to do that this year, right?
Yeah.
You were going to turn around this year. If you gave up Cedarian Lamb, let's go to 2 years. You're going to give away CeeDee Lamb and Leighton Vander Esch. Those are your last 2 first rounders.
That's right.
Or if you want to do it in order, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper.
That's right.
Those are your last 2 first rounders.
That's right.
Right? Third round pick, your last year's third round pick was Neville Gallimore. Let's go 2 years back. Gallimore. It would have been who? Michael Gallup.
That's
right. It would have been
been
Michael Gallup.
That's right.
And then you would end up giving up because they gave up a safety. You're going to give him Xavier Woods.
Whew, come on now.
When you look at it, when you frame it in that manner, right, you get all the foolishness out of your heart and start coming back to logic.
That's right.
What happens when you give away premium players and premium picks for them and the salary that you end up saving? Look at the level of salary and control they give away from their first round picks.
That's
for
right.
At least 4 or 5 years. You may end up having to pay a couple of guys early. Shout out to Zeke. Still probably wouldn't have paid him. Probably would have made him come back. But he got his bread.
Yeah.
But just the level of control on money. And with COVID being the way it is, that's really going to hamper them. See, my problem is I watched Dallas do that not once, but twice. I watched him do it with Joey Galloway. Gave away 2 first-round draft picks.
Yep.
Which one would end up being Sean Alexander, who came back and beat you in the playoffs with Seattle. Yeah. And let's
not forget about Roy Williams.
Right. You turned around and did it with Roy Williams. You gave up 2 firsts and a third. Did the same identical deal.
That's right.
Did the same identical deal.
That's right.
And got nothing from it. But constantly saw that Roy loved being in Dallas and being a Texas Longhorn more than he loved being an NFL wide receiver.
Absolutely.
That's what he loved more than anything else. So
absolutely.
I'm glad Steven handled it the way he did. I'm glad they were being physically responsible with the cap and with the draft picks. And I just see him making one more move. Go ahead.
Thank you for bringing up Stephen Jones, man. I'm see things like this show me that Stephen Jones got restraint. And these are the type of moments that make me appreciate him. Because you talked about him in the DAC negotiations. That can go either way. But moments like these, I feel like cut through all of the noise and show you the restraint that Stephen Jones has. Because if things like this were still fully in Jerry's control, I believe that the Jets and Jamal's agent could have been able to talk a little bit to Jerry and sweet talk him and make him feel like, you know what, I do need this. You know what, I think it'll be all okay. You know what, oh man, I really like Jamal. He wants to be here. All right, go ahead and do it. and Steven is more, the businessman. He'll tell you, look, player, I don't care what you do. 2 first, child, please.
I think you need a little bit of both. I think you need the financial responsibility of Steven, but you also need the splash of Jerry. Because I think Jerry gets more deals done because he's more personable, where Steven's a little bit more colder and just looking at the bottom line.
Yeah.
And I think, I think he got it done. He likes waiting to the last minute to get it done.
Yeah, because it's optics.
Yeah, it's all about optics.
That's
but
right.
I think if you get involved and say, hey, listen, let's sit down, let's talk it out, and make it more of a family type thing. They want to keep it kind of all business, but you gotta love how Jerry brings in the love and admiration of those guys and those players the way he's done over the years. Because you don't have a lot of people out there, and I don't care who you see in the media world, which is smattered with Dallas Cowboys, from the names we know from the Troy Aikmans, Tony Romo, Daryl Johnson, Marcus Spears, Marcellus Wiley's, all these guys who ended up getting and having a life after football in media. None of those guys speak ill of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys.
That's right.
They never do, because Jerry has that, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to show you the way. I mean, Jalen Smith even turned around with signing the deal. Hey, I want to be in business with who? Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely,
so,
man.
I understand the financial part, that Steven is still now undefeated at the contract negotiations. His head game is impeccable.
That's right.
But I think long term with Rain and with different things going on, and even with Jamal Adams, I think he's going to end up showing that his financial responsibility, his financial savvy, and just attention to detail in that area will help us long term. But I'm so glad that we ain't got to sit up here and talk about the box safety, Jamal Adams, which is an amazing player. He can go to Seattle and get his bread.
Great guy. Amazing guy.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm sure he's amazing.
Yeah,
but for 2 first and a third,
man, ain't nobody that good. Man. Ain't nobody that good.
Yeah, that's quarterback. That's quarterback price. Quarterback price.
Hey man, it's only one guy I give up 2 first and the third for. Like,
who is that?
Hey man, he went number 15 in Kansas City. And
there we go.
About it.
That's what I'm talking about. You're gonna have to give up 4 first and a third.
I love Rain.
You gotta give up
Rain.
4
first
I'm 2
and
first
a third. And a third?
Yeah.
No sir.
If you come on
and
now.
A player. I'm telling you, that's the part I think that people miss. And a player. Oh, you can find it. No, you can't find NFL caliber safety play just any and everywhere. You gotta go train and develop. So I think that gives us the door opening for our next video, which we're going to talk a little bit more in detail when we get back together here on Franklin Football about the coaching staff and our defensive battles we're looking at in our next video, man. So as always, man, we want you to smash the like button, man. Take a few minutes out of your day, spend some time with us, man. Hit the comment buttons and the feedback. Mm-hmm. Talk to us, because we don't have a problem interacting, man. If y'all think we crazy, tell us we crazy.
Let me know.
If you think we right, put your point in there. But we want you to definitely spend us time with us doing that. And we'll talk real soon, man. Hey, man, I'm setting it off, Chris, man.
And I'm Brandon. This is Franklin Football. Thanks for watching.